I'm going to show you how to set up your new DJI Osmo Nano, and I'm going to walk you through some of the more important settings on this to get you the kind of look and feel that you're going for in your POV content. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. I purchased this with my own money. DJI has never reached out to me to do a review or in-depth guide on this camera, so everything I teach you in this video are based on my own experiences. There's no script or anything like that. I'm just going to be walking through all the settings live with you so you can see it firsthand. A couple weeks ago, I gave you my first impressions on this camera, and if you haven't watched that video, I will put it in the description down below so you can go watch it. But I've been using this for a little bit of time now, and I've gone through a lot of the settings to get it set up in the way that works best for me, and I've made a couple videos with this already. And anytime you get a new camera, you're going to want to know how to set it up for the very first time. And out of box, this camera is actually pretty good, but there are a few different settings that you can turn on or turn off to enhance your experience. Starting off with the exterior of this, you can see that there are two red buttons, one on top of the actual camera and then one on the side of the vision dock. These are going to be multifunctional buttons, and I will talk about those more later on in this video, but they are also the buttons that are used to record your videos, either from the camera itself directly, or if you have this separate, you can click this button and you can record it. There are a few different areas you can go to change your settings, the first of which is going to be swiping up from the bottom of your screen. Here you're going to be able to see your resolutions. You have 4K, 2.7K, and 1080p with your different aspect ratios. The popular ones on here are 16:9, 4:3. This does not have a 9:16 option, so you would obviously have to turn it to the side like this if you want to shoot vertical content, but the 4:3 ratio can be used for both horizontal and vertical content, for it acts like a full frame camera even though it's technically not. A full frame, say on a GoPro Hero 11, which is the camera I upgraded from, has an 8:7 ratio, which is full frame. But with 4:3, you can actually accomplish the 2-in-1 filming option, where you can use it for either your long form content or short form content. But if you don't want to have to worry about that, it's ideal to just switch it to 16:9 and then turn the camera sideways. Below that, you do have your frames per second. It goes from 24 all the way up to 60. And this is dependent on where you live. If you want to do by 50 frames per second or 25 frames per second if you're outside the United States. If you're in the United States, 24 and 60 and 30 are pretty much your normal ones, but they do accommodate for ones outside of the United States standards. This camera does have the option to do 4K 120 if you're doing slow-mo, but it's not done here. I'll show you where that is later on in this video. Once you have this set up, you can simply swipe down and you can go back to the main screen. If you swipe from the top down, you do get the rest of the settings here. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail, but I will at least point out all the different options you have on here. The first of which is going to be your current settings. So you can set up your own custom settings to your own liking, and this is basically like a profile that you can set up. So if you have one profile where you shoot a certain style of content and then another profile where you shoot a different style of content, this is where you can set up those custom profiles. Notably, if you want to do one where it's just generic POV content, you don't need any special color grading, that's one option. The other option is to do the DJI's D-Log M, which gives you the ability to color grade, and I will talk more about that here later, but this is where you can set up those custom profiles if that's something that you're interested in. The second option is going to be the custom buttons. Earlier I did mention that these buttons on the side of the vision dock and the top of the camera do the same thing, but you can actually program them to whatever it is that you want. By default, if the camera is on and you single press the button on the side or the button on top, it will start recording. If you do a long press and hold, it will turn off the camera. If you do a double press, it will turn on the video. And then there are other options that you can choose from. Say you can change the option to switch it to hyperlapse or anything like that. The third setting is going to be setting up a wireless microphone. Now DJI Osmo Nano does utilize DJI audio, so you can use the wireless microphones. I had the DJI Mic 2 system, but you can use the new Mic 3 or the new Mini. And simply all you have to do is make sure that your microphone is in Bluetooth pairing mode, and it will automatically connect to the DJI. If it doesn't automatically connect, you just need to make sure that you hold down the linking button like this, and then you need to tap on one of the options. I'm going to choose 2, and it's going to do the pairing process. And there you go. Now it's paired. Go ahead and hit confirm. Now I do have a second microphone that goes under the TX1, so that's why I selected TX2, but you can have up to 2 microphones attached to this, which is fantastic for vlogging. So basically all you really need to get vlogging are these 2 things and you're good to go. The next setting is going to be your general settings. When you go in here, you have a few different options that you would normally see on devices like this. The first of which is your always on display. So always on is basically just meaning that you're always going to have something displayed on the screen. Even if it's not the full display, you'll get a watered down version of the display. If you're recording, it will be the amount of time you're recording that will display on screen. And that setting is right below this, where you can determine how long you want your camera to record before it goes into that screensaver mode. It's automatically set up for 1 minute. You have timer shooting. You have built-in microphone audio backup. So if you're using the DJI Mic 2 system or the Mic 3 system, you can set up backup audio directly into your microphone. So the next setting is going to be your display brightness, which is right here. I have it turned up so it's easier for you to see what's on screen, but you can turn this down if you want to save yourself some battery life. Next, we have the option to do a screen lock. So if you accidentally bump your camera often and change your settings, you can set it up to where the screen is locked, and that way you can't tap around it and cause any issues. If you want to unlock it, you simply swipe up. Next up, we do have voice command. Voice command is something that I personally do not use unless it is a very specific situation, because you can find yourself accidentally using the trigger words that will start and stop your recording. Or you could be hanging out with somebody who does the same thing, where they say the trigger word and it will stop or start your recording. So I would only use this in a very specific use case or in a controlled environment if that's something that you're interested in. However, there are different options for movement. So under this next option, which is the auto record option, you have 2 distinct options. One is padding, and then the other one is nodding. Padding is if you tap the side of your camera twice while it's turned off, it will turn on and start recording. You can go through here and set it up to your liking. There are different options that you can set up, but we'll go ahead and just leave it as it is. The camera will turn off and you will now see a blue light indicator flashing on the camera. This means that the option is turned on, and if you want to start recording, you simply tap the side of the camera twice, and it will turn on and it will start recording at the same time. If you wanted to stop recording, simply press the button up top or on the side of the camera. It will stop recording and then it will count down before it turns off. Now the other option is to nod. If you have this hooked up to a hat like I normally do, you can simply nod your head and it will start recording. Next, if you want to see your storage, you can swipe over to here, and you do have internal storage on the camera. This does come in 2 different options, the 64 gigabyte or the 128 gigabyte. I own the 128 gigabyte, but you can obviously get whichever one makes the most sense for you, because this does have the expansion slot for a micro SD card on the side here. But this is where you'll be able to see how much data has been used up on your internal camera, and you'll also be able to see how much data is on an internal card if you have one inserted. So we'll go ahead and put a micro SD card in here. I have a 128 SD card, and then you'll be able to see how much is available. You'll also be able to hit export to SD card, and then you can make that transfer over to the SD card. The caveat here is you do have to have this camera oriented the other way. So it has to be like this in order to do that. And if you hit export, it will go through that process. So that's going to cover the basics of the settings, but there are more advanced settings that you can access from the main screen. And if you tap on this little setting icon on the right hand side, you'll get this side menu that pops out, and you have it set up to where you can have it pro, or you can have it set up for your basic settings. Under the pro settings, you do have control over your exposure, your white balance, and also your color profile. Right now I have exposure set up to auto, but you can give it parameters to say that I only want it between 100 and a higher number. You can also change your EV on the side here if that is something that you're interested in. You then also have the option to change your white balance. I have it set up to 5600 Kelvin. That's just normal for me, but you can change it to whatever it is that you want. You do have some appearance special effects if you want to turn those on. I think it has an option to clean up your face, make it a lot smoother if you're doing more vlogging. You also have your rock steady options, which this is set up to daily, which I think is the best overall option. But you do have sport set up here if you do your sports like snowboarding, skateboarding, biking, whatever. And you also have a motion blur anti-motion option. I personally have never used that, so we'll go ahead and skip past that. Your color profile, you have 3 different options. You have your normal 8-bit option, which is what it's set to out of the box. And then you have your normal 10-bit. So this is going to be 10-bit versus 8-bit coloring. And again, this is just normal. This is not a flat profile. So if you want better color quality straight out of camera, you can go with a 10-bit option. And then you have the D-Log M option, which is also 10-bit. This is going to give you a more flat color profile. So you can go into your post editor and you can do your own color grading. I have this set up currently because I was using this for more cinematic shots, which is perfectly capable of doing it. If you're familiar with the DJI Action 5 Pro, this has the exact same sensor as that camera. It's just in a smaller package. So you can get really good quality videos out of this. You do have other options down here for like your image brightness and stuff like that, and we'll go ahead and swipe out of that. If you want to see any of the videos that you have recorded, there's a play button on the left-hand side of the screen here. And when you tap that, it will be able to open anything that's on your DJI Nano. But also, if you have a card inserted, you can click this drop-down menu and select your SD card and see all the videos that you have recorded on your card. Now, you cannot do this if the camera is detached from the Vision dock. So if I were to select the playback option and remove the camera, it will give you a warning that you need to attach the camera in order to do the preview. Because again, this is internal storage, but it's on the camera, not the Vision dock. It still doesn't give you the option to view what's on your SD card, even when the camera is detached. And that might just be a simple software update that they do in the future. But as of right now, you have to have your camera attached to the Vision dock if you want to preview any of the videos, whether it's internal or external. If you want to change the type of recording that you're doing, if you want to do pictures or slow-mo, in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you have an icon that you can tap on. And you can switch this between video mode, photo mode, a super night option, slow motion, or time lapse. Now, if you want to quickly switch between these settings, you can set it up on your button to double click on the button and it will change the setting for you. So now it's switched to photo. But then you can also have it switch to whatever it is you want. So say if I double click the top, it will switch it to video and it will start recording. So this is an option that you can have set up by default, which is how I have it. And even though I was in photo mode, if I double clicked the top of the camera button, it switched it to video and started recording. If I stop recording, then it will switch it back to photo mode. So this is great if you want to do a little bit of pictures, but also want to switch it to video, or if you want to have an option to double click this button, switch it to say super night mode or time lapse mode, and then you want to quickly switch back to video and start recording something because something is going on and you want to capture it. So this is a great option to have. This is where the buttons do differ on the default settings. Again, I have not changed those custom buttons at all, so this is what it's going to be like out of box. And this also works too if, say, you're on a different setting like time-lapse mode. If you manually switch it over to that, if you simply double click the top of the camera, it will automatically switch it back to whatever setting that you have set up for that function. So even though I'm on time-lapse mode, I double clicked it and now I'm recording, stop recording, and it will switch back to time-lapse mode. And that's about all there is to the DJI Osmo Nano. If you have just received this camera for the first time, or if you haven't received it just yet, I hope you got good value out of this video. If you did, let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions about any of the features I've gone over, or any of the settings, or if there's anything that I may have missed. This was not a sponsored video. I purchased this with my own money. And so if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts down below on what you would like to see next. But until then, I will see you next time.